morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I'm joined by my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer, Jack Hirsch. How are you this morning, Jack?
Hey, very good, Keith. Better than usual. Yankees advance.
Yankees advance saved me from going on a tirade. I do have a little bit to say, but I'll keep it to a minute.
Well, you go ahead. You could vent. I mean, you're still calling for Aaron Boone to be fired, but you kind of tabled that for now. You put it to the side, and you'll review that a little more, as the days and the next couple of weeks go by.
Well, as they keep winning, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but good grief. I mean, they didn't win this. Well, I'll give them credit.
You give them credit for what?
I'll give him credit for not pulling Cam Schlittler. Pitches last night.
I don't, Aaron Boone made some moves in game one, and the best 2 out of 3 in these playoff series is very dangerous. That's why I'm always pulling for the team to get a bye. I know we've had a philosophical discussion. When you have a bye, you have a layoff, and the layoff in baseball hurts you more than it would in other sports because there's a certain sharpness you want pitchers to have. You don't want them to be off long with the batters' timing. I get all that. I really do. But you're much better off getting the bye because that's the same as winning a series automatically. You saw what nearly happened to the Yankees. Best 2 out of 3. Game 2 could have gone either way.
Let me ask you a question, though. Yes, they got put in a bad spot by their manager because he sits 2 of their, arguably their second and third best player, third and fourth, if you want to count Stanton, who doesn't even run out of the box. That's another story I'll talk about. But he benches Rice and Jazz. You cannot bench those 2 guys in a 3-game playoff. You can't take that chance. And Rice never even gets off the bench. And that type of move, it's going to backfire more than you're going to look like a genius.
Well, I got a lot to say about that. There's another move he made, and before I discuss those, the last day of the regular season, he pitched Bednar for a meaningless inning. And I understand you want to keep him sharp, blah, blah, blah. But now he had to use Bednar for every game. It didn't make sense because you're playing 2 days later. Let's say you use him again, you can. But you can't. Now they got to use him Wednesday and Thursday, and you don't know what that overuse could do for a pitcher. So you got to pace yourself. For the most part, I started with Aaron Boone's moves. When he took Max Fried out in game 1, Max Fried wasn't finding the strike zone towards the end. He was off form. He threw more pitches than he had at any game that season. He threw more pitches, and at that point in the game, he wasn't quite the same Max Fried. You have a well-rested bullpen with Luke Weaver, but Luke Weaver happened to mess things up. But I really believe it was the right move at that point to pull Max Fried. You don't want to put, he was off the plate on some of his pitches, like a foot off the plate at the end.
I'm not sure I'm buying that, quite frankly. I mean, yes, he wasn't as effective as he was in the second inning, but he's your best pitcher. He only threw 104 pitches. It's not like he threw 130. He threw 104, a lot of them not under great duress. I'd have left him in there at least to finish the 7th inning. I mean, at least he let him go longer. And some of these other guys look like, these other managers are pulling guys in the 3rd inning for crying out loud in a 1-1 games. But Boone put themselves, again, I'll give you the Fried one, right? Because, again, the bullpen had pitched pretty well the last month of the season. He thought he had a formula. Weaver, who probably was the most reliable guy out there for the better part of the year, we don't think he's going to implode like he did. So I'll give him a pass there. What I don't give him a pass on is that lineup to start the game, just because, Rosario is 6 for 9 lifetime against Crochet. You don't bench your 3rd best player. You just don't.
But you know what that might have been? That might have been an organizational decision, which Aaron Boone wasn't saying that he was being a front. That's why maybe Brian Cashman loves him, because he's also a great company man / organization player. There was a situation where he pulled Garrett Cole early from a game, after 88 pitches or something. That's not that early, but Garrett Cole told Aaron Boone reportedly he was gassed, he was exhausted, he wanted to come out of the game. But Aaron Boone never said that. Well, Garrett told me he wanted to come out of the game. He covered for him, and that's why the players like Aaron Boone. I'll give you one thing, though. The Chaz Chisholm move. If you're going to make a move like that, you first make it during the regular season at some point, at some game. You do it one or two times. You don't pull the plug from Chaz Chisholm, an all-star, by the way, a 30-30 guy who had a marvelous season, who played out of position last year, third base. It wasn't his natural position until they moved him to second this year. You don't play those games with his emotions and sit him the first game because Ahmed Rosario, who's a pro's pro, I get all that, 6 for 9, and you look at the analytics, well, he's had great success against Crochet, and Chaz Chisholm hasn't. 9 at-bats.
That's no.
Quite a big enough body of work. It's not like he's, 24 for 50 against the guy.
If you extrapolate that out, is he going to go 60 for 90 against him? I don't think so. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Listen, I got to tell you one other thing, too, because you said something in there that is one of my biggest pet peeves about Aaron Boone, is that he covers for players. If he's not in Stanton's face after that game saying the next time you hit a ball that hard and look at the dugout and start posing, he could have cost the Yankees that game last night, because I'm shocked he didn't get thrown out at second base. That ball could have been a triple for most, would have been a triple for most.
No, not with Stanton running. No. I leave a guy alone. If the guy gets to where he's supposed to be. Leave him alone. Stanton, if he was running as hard as he could, and Stanton doesn't run all out, it's not because of lack of hustle, it's to prevent an injury. We get all that, and we give him a pass on how fast he runs on the bases. But Stanton was never going to get to third base under any condition. We know that. Come on.
Forget that part. Him having to do what he had to do because he's mugging to the dugout thinking he hit a home run forces him to run all out to second base, and he could have got hurt then. But the bottom line, he got to second base. No harm done. You don't have to pull him aside. Stanton's a team player. He's been around long enough. He understands what he did. Some guys understand what they've done, and you don't even have to talk to them. They understand that. I have watched this guy turn doubles into singles for like 7 years now. I mean, this isn't a new thing. He does this stuff all the time. He should be smarter.
Well, he didn't turn it into a single. He got to second base. Keith, you're making it seem like Stanton was stranded on first base when he should have been second. He got to where he had to go. I mean, leave him alone. He got to second base. No problem.
I'm not going to ever leave a guy alone who plays a game like that. Ever.
But that's the condition. And Keith, players are conditioned, virtually all of them, to act a certain way. When they hit a ball that they think's a home run, it's not the way it used to be. Remember the movie 61 that Billy Crystal did on the Mantle Maris run race? Remember when Maris hit a ball, a home run, he started like kind of sprinting.
Right.
Any ball off the bat, players sprinted to first base. They were conditioned to do that during that era. In this era, they're conditioned to look at it, do a little dance, a black flip, and so on. Richard, what are you talking about, Richard? He got to second base. I'm correct.
No, you're not correct, because you're excusing away his and everybody else's approach to the game, which is 100% wrong. They're wrong to approach the game that way. They're right to approach the game the other way that we did for.
I agree with you. I agree, but it's
using it away because that's what everybody plays.
Keith, player takes a foul shot in basketball. He misses. Everyone is shaking his hand. He makes it. They come over to shake his hand.
That's not the same
thing. Pure nonsense. If I'm a coach, I say no one comes over and greets the guy after a foul shot, one way or the other.
I mean, that's not the same kind of thing that we're talking about here. Players are conditioned not to hustle, is what you're telling me. Because guess what? You don't need any talent to do. Run to first base. You don't need any talent to do that. to hustle. None.
Players unfortunately conditioned to celebrate. Unfortunately, like Adonai Mitchell a week ago in the Indianapolis Colts, he's about to score a big touchdown against the Rams. Right before he gets to the goal line, he holds the ball out to celebrate. He loses possession, and as a result, the Colts lose possession, as I said.
Yeah.
The Rams take over. No touchdown for the Colts. The Rams win by 7 points. It might have cost the Colts the game because they're conditioned. But the majority of players who break a touchdown like that, they celebrate right before the goal line. They don't just run in normally and then put the ball down or slam it or then do their dance or whatever.
I get that, but what I'm hearing is you agree with my argument, but you're telling me just get over it because that's the way it is.
I agree with your argument, but what I am saying,
Over it, right?
A player, no, in baseball, let's narrow it down, forget football. In baseball, if the player gets to where he's supposed to be anyway, like Stanton did, and he's a veteran, no need to say anything to him. He understands. He's a smart man, Giancarlo Stanton. He's a team player. He realizes, wow, I could have messed things up. And listen, remember the story, one of the fond stories Joe Torre likes to say about Derek Jeter when he was a rookie. He made a bonehead play. Yeah. And Torre was going to look towards him to chew him out. And then he notices Jeter pulled up his seat right next to Torre in the bench. And now he was like a puppy dog. And Torre says, get out of here. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Just leave. It was a funny story. And I'm sure if Aaron Boone called Stanton and Stanton, I'll say, I know Aaron. You don't have to talk to me about it. I shouldn't have. I thought it was out of there. I'm going to try to be more alert. Case closed.
Well, I'll try to be more positive.
I'm more concerned about Stanton's got to swing a little better back in the upcoming series with Toronto. He got the big double yesterday. He got, walk yesterday. Okay, at least he did something. But the first two games, he was dreadful. And we know Stanton is a streaky hitter. When he's got it going, he's as good a hitter as anyone in baseball. But when he's bad, and he was really bad the first couple of games. And towards the end of the season, he was dreadful.
And again, they won this series. I don't want to sit here and focus on a negative.
Why aren't we talking about the big news, Cam Schlitter? That's how we should have started out, Keith.
I'm going to get to Cam Schlitter.
I mean, he was sensational.
I want to before I go there, he was sensational. We're going to talk about him in a second. But I want to talk about the play I think sparked the Yankee offense last night, which is the anti-Stanton play, was Bellinger hustling all the way on a pop fly that we don't know if you caught or not, but he ran it out all the way and got to second base, which started that rally. That's the way you play baseball right there.
Right. But I'm going to tell you what helped the Yankees a great deal. The terrible defense by the Boston Red Sox. Awful. It was dreadful.
Awful.
It was dreadful. What can you say? There were miscommunications, misplays, and that helped the Yankees in game two. We talk about pitching and defense, and when we talk about pitching and defense, Keith, we're mainly thinking about pitching, but defense plays such a big role. Like even in game two, Chaz Chisholm, that sensational play, just preventing the ball from going into the outfield.
100%.
Yeah, and listen, it was just one play yesterday, but Ryan McMahon flipping open the dugout. It's more than just an out, and it's more than just a hustle play. It picks a team up. It inspires everyone. When you see a guy put his body on the line like that, everyone else, on the team, not that they weren't going to do it anyway, feels, wow, we're going to literally run through a wall into the stands and do whatever it takes to get the job done. That play by Ryan McMahon. And also, even though they couldn't quite catch him, kudos to a couple of the Red Sox there who tried to lessen Ryan McMahon's fall. Okay, that every player should always do that because it's more important to prevent a serious injury than it is to win the game.
Yeah, there was a bit of a half-hearted effort. He was already flipped over backwards.
Well, it happened so quick. It happened so quick.
And you very rarely does the opposing team give you much help, and they didn't last night. But there were two guys that tried to keep him once he'd gone over backwards and keep him from hitting too hard on the.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it happens so quick. No one has a chance to prepare. If they had a chance to prepare, they knew what they were going to happen. I'm sure one of them would have thought of a way to kick the ball out of his glove, not to hurt him. One guy hold him up, and I'll kick the ball out of his glove. The other guy.
Let's get to Cam Schliedler.
If they grab this glove, wait. If the Red Sox grabbed McMahon's glove when he was in the dugout, it would hurt the ball out. That's an interest. I don't know what the call would be on that. Would that have been called an out if they deliberately took it out of his glove and knocked it out?
Sure. I mean, if you're in this, if you go over the outfield wall, for instance, and pulls it out of your glove, well, it's interference, fan interference. It'd be the same thing on a.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but that is a great question. It's okay to knock it out of his glove if that's the case.
Actually,
one guy left the ball, the other guy hit it out of the glove.
Do you remember 2004 when A-Rod hit the ball out of, I don't know if it was Miller or who was playing, Millar, who was playing first base for the Red Sox in the playoff series. He slapped at the ball and knocked it out of his glove at first base. And everybody got all excited. Well, they were going to reverse that in a heartbeat because you can't do that. You can't slap.
You can't do it on the field of play, but once McMahon was in the dugout. But Schlieder, you're going to talk about him, right?
Yeah, Schlieder played awesome. He pitched awesome last night. And I have to tell you something. That is a tough spot for a kid with 14 major league starts. The season's on the line, and he was out there like a 15-year veteran. He was so calm. He's got that it factor. I mean, his stuff was electric last night. Electric. What do you have, 12 strikeouts?
Yeah. He didn't walk anyone.
Nobody walked.
Not electric, but his stuff, I mean, it was quick.
I've not seen it.
100 miles. He's throwing 100 miles per hour with great location. He got the start because basically he pitched well during the year, but he wasn't sensational, but he pitched well. And I'm going to tell you, I think he's going to carry this over, not because it's one game, because of the, like you say, the electric stuff that he has. And I think the Yankees have a star going forward. I really do. And if you look at the Yankee rotation, even for next year, with Cole coming back, we don't know how good Cole will be, but he should be effective. He should be pretty good, you would think, Cole coming back. Fried, Cole, Rondon, Schlieder. I mean, wow. If they could throw that at you, what a rotation that they could come back with next year.
Warren pitched well for the most part this year, too. He had a few ups and downs, but he pitched well, and he's progressing. Yes, all of a sudden starting pitching doesn't look like such a big problem for the Yankees for sure. And he did not. I watched every game he started this year, and he didn't. Not one day did he look that confident and that overpowering on the mound. He was just sensational. Early was as well for the first 3 innings, but the second time around, that's the big thing, right? The Yankees didn't have any clue for early for the Red Sox early in that game, no pun intended. But the second time around, they figured them out. That's the difference. So.
Well, the Red Sox defense did a minute.
Well, that's true too.
It really did. I mean, to see the Red Sox unravel like that, I mean, it was fun for me to watch. But if I'm a Red Sox fan, I mean, the frustration, the lack of communication, it's not an easy thing, Keith, to say when it's a hit and when it's an error at times, because unfortunately there's no in between. How many times have we seen a man make a play in which we say, oh, that's a really good play, but if he doesn't make it, we're thinking he's a defensive liability. That's the thing about it. Also, I want to say, as far as defense goes, Anthony Volpe's had a resurgence at the end of the year. He's now playing like the type of player we thought he was, the way we projected him to be. And if this Anthony Volpe stays, he has the future. If not as the Yankees shortstop, it depends on how good Lombard is coming out of the minors. but as a Yankee third baseman, second baseman, whatever. But there's a nice future there for Anthony Volpe.
No, you're right. He doesn't need to hit 280 with 30 home runs. He just needs to play defense like he's played defense in this last series. He was tremendous on defense this whole series. He made a great play at second base last night when Jazz threw the ball away, almost threw the ball away on a double play ball. I don't know how he kept his foot on the bag and snagged the ball at the same time. It was a great play, and he was very steady in this series, and that's what for him.
And I want to credit Brian Cashman. He made some moves during the season. It gave the Yankees a lot of depth. I mean, Ahmad Rosario can play different positions. He's a quality major leaguer.
Yeah.
And to get Caballero, the major league's, base stealing leader, who's not bad defensively. He's not bad defensively. And it gives you options. McMahon has a wonderful glove at third base. So you make it in who should be playing third base in these games against Toronto going forward. I think everyone gets to play. But you have McMahon's glove if you play him at third. You have Caballero's speed if you play him at third. You have Ahmad Rosario's all-around professionalism if you play him there, someone else. But the benching of Chaz Chisholm in game one, I feel that was a decision that was an organizational decision, and Boone was just the front man and took the hit. And that's why I think Boone is very appreciated by the Yankee, front office. And I'm pretty sure when they made that move, they told Hal Steinbrenner they were going to make it, and Hal left it up to his people. It kind of reminded you of when Reggie Jackson, 1977, was sacked for the deciding game against the Kansas City Royals to see who would go to the World Series.
Billy.
He had a reputation, reportedly, of not being able to hit Paul Splitoff. And reportedly, Billy Martin asked Catfish Hunter, Jackson's teammate at the Oakland Athletics, can Jackson hit Splitoff? And reportedly, Hunter said, not with a bleeping paddle. And that's a good question, Keith. If that's the case.
But that was all Billy.
Let me throw this by you, though. In defense of Boone or any other manager, if you really, truly believe your star player just can't hit certain pitches for a given game, it's futile. He has a history of futility against that pitcher, and you have a lesser player who's been really successful against that pitcher, and it's just for one game. I mean, do you worry about the feelings, even if it's a star player?
Well, no, depending on the situation. But again, the Yankees don't just lose Jazz's bat, they lose his glove. And remember the play he made that saved the run.
Rosario's a decent glove.
He's not as good as Jazz. He's not even close to Jazz. He doesn't cover the ground he covers. So again,
Jazz covers ground.
To your ultimate question, I'm fine with that. You know where I do have a problem? And I had the same problem with Billy in 77. If you remember in 77, Billy made Fran Healy go tell Reggie he wasn't playing that night. He didn't tell him. That's really ridiculous.
Well, they had a terrible relationship.
I understand that.
I mean, Billy was a difficult guy. Billy jerked Reggie around, batting him sixth. I mean, you don't bat him.
I don't care about any of that. The manager still got to tell the player, I'm sitting you, and here's why. And by the way, Boone text. And maybe this is the world we live in today. But Jazz finds out, Monday night he's not starting, but through a text from Aaron Boone.
But I'm going to say something in defense of Boone here. Listen to this. At the end of the day, Chaz Chisholm in game one was up at the most important point of the game. You could say
Fair.
1 out in the ninth inning.
Fair.
And the Yankees are down 2 runs. The bases are loaded.
That's
and he flies out, but he was in at crunch time.
Well,
and in that game 5, when Reggie eventually got in for his one at bat, he hit a single. The center fielder was playing practically by the wall in that game.
Yeah.
That's why Reggie got the hit. It should have been an out. So Chaz had a chance to come through at that moment, and he hit a fly ball under normal conditions. Maybe the runner from third would have tagged up, but it wouldn't have made any sense with the Yankees 2 runs down.
You can't make an out of it.
No, of course not. The run would have been meaningless at that point.
Yep. I can't believe I've been this hard on Aaron Boone today. But
listen, kudos to Aaron Boone and the Yankees. They advanced.
100%.
And I just, who are you picking, them or the Toronto Blue Jays?
I'll take the Yankees in this series again, despite they've had some troubles with the Blue Jays. They played a little better the last series, but they've had some trouble with them. But again, you like to say, it doesn't matter once we play in October. Games in May don't.
Doesn't keep, you
don't have momentum
I
either.
think to myself, momentum is a joke at times. The way we overstate it. Look at the Tigers and the Guardians.
That's a great example.
I was saying that all along. Don't worry about the Tigers. They're getting the playoffs with this momentum thing. It could turn on the flip of a switch. No team had more momentum. No team had more momentum going into the playoffs, you could argue, than the Indians in a sense. And no team had less momentum, you could argue, than the Tigers. And look, a 3-game series, things switch pretty quickly. And, I'm a little annoyed. I could have gone 4 for 4 in these series. I picked 3 out of the 4 correct. The one I picked incorrect was the Padres and the Cubs. I was kind of on the fence on that, but I thought the Padres had better personnel. But somehow I got the feeling, something was missing from the Padres this year. And we saw it in the series. What a dreadful strike call. I don't know whether you saw it, Keith.
I did.
I nearly jumped out of my seat. To just recap, decisive game to see who advances. The Cubs lead 3-1 going into the ninth. Padres hit a home run, cut it to 3-1. And then Bogarts is up, no outs, 3-1, full count. He does what he has to do. A pitch that is clearly low, not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close, Keith. And Bogarts is ready to go to first base like he should be. He wasn't faking it to try to get a call. And the umpire calls it a strike. I mean, the umpire missed that by a mile.
And they would have loaded the base afterwards.
Yeah. But what made it worse, Keith, the next 2 players get hit by pitches. So you could have had, if you want, you never know what would have happened had he walked. Maybe they wouldn't have gotten hit by pitches. But put it this way, Keith, it could have been the bases loaded, no outs, the Padres down 3-1. But instead, it's first and second, 1 out, and they don't quite get it done. But they were hard done, the Padres, by that horrendous call that we're not going to have next season because it's going to be a replay.
Well, listen, I agree with that, and I wish Danny Fuller were here this morning because he's a big advocate of the ABS system that's going to get put into place next year with the with the.
I'm a believer. We got to have it now.
Huge thing, but I can't make an argument against it when the umpires are this bad. We have to have better balls and strike calls. But listen, the Padres went 3 for 36 with runners in scoring position, so they're their own worst enemy in this series.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that either. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't want to take the human element out completely. I know, Keith, you're a big believer in the human element, but you give teams a certain amount of replay challenges, and if they fail on the challenges, they get no more, and then they just have to go with what the umps do. And I'm going to tell you something also, Keith. Certain umps might, even though it'll embarrass them, I think they might be a little relieved to be bailed out. Look at Don Deckinger in the 1985 World Series missing the call at first base. The idea that we're mentioning his name, that he would have liked that overturned. Jim Joyce, who would have wanted things overturned more than Jim Joyce? He would have been ecstatic if his call was overturned so Galarraga could have gotten the perfect game.
I do have a counter, at least at a Deckinger one, that nobody would ever even talk about that World Series if it wasn't for that call. It'd just be another, whatever World Series, Kansas City against St. Louis, not huge markets, and nobody would ever talked about it. But we talk about it every time we talk about bad calls. We talk about Don Deckinger.
Deckinger, yeah, that's a great. Now you put another idea: the worst officiating calls in sports history, or whatever.
That's one. That Jim Joyce.
Also, when you have to watch a replay a few times and you can't make up your mind, I'm a big believer it has to be clear proof to overturn, an umpire. they do have some say because a lot of times we're not sure looking at the replay. And so the umpire's original call sometimes carries tremendous weight.
100%. And good morning to Linda. How are you, Linda? Linda, I know is traveling this.
Hey, Linda.
We welcome her in always.
Great to hear from you, Linda.
So again, this umpiring has really hurt my argument against the ABS, and so we're going to give it a shot.
By the way, I like the Yankees to beat Toronto also.
The Tigers, listen, 15-1, by the way. The teams that win in the census formats come into play in this wild card round. The team that wins for a game one wins this series now 15 out of 16 times. The Yankees are the only ones that have bucked this trend.
Well, we're waiting for two teams to finally break through in the playoffs, or who maybe don't go to the playoffs but have been on the cusp. One of them is the Seattle Mariners, who play the Detroit Tigers.
Like the Mariners a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of people feel the Mariners. They've never been to a World Series. The Mariners are baseball's version of the Detroit Lions, who haven't been to a Super Bowl since it started, and the Mariners haven't been to a World Series, let alone winning one. Is this finally going to be their year? No, they're not beating the Detroit Tigers. So I think the Tigers are going to be there for the Toronto Yankee winner.
Well, Brian's with us this morning, and he had said congrats, I think, for our Yankee win, and I'll say congratulations for your Tigers win. But unlike Jack, I think the Mariners will win this series. There's too much pitching, and I think the lineup is deeper than the Tigers. And by the way, well, they got the best pitchers on the Tigers. Skubal's the best pitcher. We know
Skubal, Adam, that
pitched 7 games, so.
I'm going to tell you, I am a believer in this to a large extent, though. I'm not a big believer in this momentum nonsense, even though you want to be playing well and you want to carry it out. But when you have an awesome pitcher like Skubal, and certain teams have pitchers like that, like the Red Sox showed us game one, they had Crochet. The Yankees had Fried, who pitched marvelously. But you have someone like Skubal, he's on top of his game, and you could pitch him twice against, a team in a 5-game series. It's difficult. It's difficult for the other team.
Well, I agree 100%. And actually, you're kind of arguing against your momentum argument, except there's an old baseball axiom that momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. So Skubal is the best pitcher here, but the Mariners have 4 really good starters to throw out there, and the Tigers really don't. Although Casey Mize was pitching, I thought, pretty good. He threw a bunch of pitches in 3 innings, 60, but that's not crazy in a 1-1 game, and A.J. Hinch takes him out in game 2, I think it was.
Sometimes teams overmanaging. I can understand in an elimination game. It's not, you can't have the patience to stick too long with someone to straighten out. I can understand you're managing a little different. But I also remember something that Paul O'Neill once said in the broadcast booth that really stuck with me. You keep coming in with all these different relievers. It only takes one to screw things up. That, have a bad day. You could come in with 6 pitchers, you take out your starter, all of them are doing well, but just one of them is off form. And amongst your fresh arms and things backfire. I was even a little concerned yesterday, Keith, when they took out Schlitt at the end after 8 innings.
I was as well.
112 pitches. I supported Boone's move to take him out but a part of me was saying, let's ride this out with him at least until one player gets on base. If he walks someone, you take him out. That's it. Someone gets a hit, you take him out, because he was so invincible. And once you take him out, you go to your bullpen, and I'm nervous because I know Bednard had been pitching a lot. I was concerned he might not have been sharp. And I'm always concerned about Devin Williams. When Devin Williams is pitching well, he's electric. When he's pitching well, he's outstanding. but we've seen Devin Williams have off games in which he's horrendous.
When he's
And then
bad,
you
by the
come
way,
in with
you're
Luke
better.
Weaver again, and when Luke Weaver's name would be announced with the score coming in the ninth inning, the Yankee fans, unfortunately, I think may have booed him for the game before, which would have been mean-spirited had they done that. But I'll tell you this, maybe they wouldn't have booed him. They would have held their breath. Then if he gave up a hit or walk, the booing would have started.
Yeah.
And then Boone would have come in with someone else out of the bullpen. And there was an outside chance of disaster happening when he went to the bullpen. And this is a good bullpen, though. That's the ironic part about it. But I've seen them off form for certain games.
James is right about this Mariners-Tigers series. It's a really good storyline with the Tigers near collapse, and then the Mariners not, as you mentioned, never making a World Series. I think there's a lot of intrigue in this series. These are 5 games, right?
5 games.
Yeah. Again, I like the Mariners. The Tigers, though, if they can get Scooble out there twice.
Jack Flaherty, if he's had a poor season. No way getting around it. But he's going to start one of the games. If he's in form, he's a really good pitcher, even though he hasn't shown it this season.
Great in the postseason last year.
And then there's your favorite on the Tigers, Gleyber Torres.
Did Gleyber, who's the guy who got thrown out of third base with 2 outs the other day? That wasn't Gleyber, was it?
Listen, Gleyber Torres has had a nice year for the Tigers. He's helped the team a lot. So good. And he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
Yankees should bring him back.
No, well, there's not a place for him, unfortunately, now.
Fortunately.
Gleyber was a good player with the Yankees. I would have liked to see Gleyber come back. But again, you put down Brian Cashman, but when you look at some of these moves, Chaz Chisholm, the player he gave up that went to Miami, I'm having a brain cramp. Now it's been very productive for the Marlins and has a good future there too. So it's not like they got Chisholm off the scrap heap for nothing.
Oh no, they gave up some talent for sure.
Yeah, but it's been worth it.
Yeah.
There's something I want to say. I saw a post this morning. From someone gloating, thanking Steve Cohen for signing Juan Soto, taking him off our hands. He wouldn't have had these other moves. Let me say this, stop it. Juan Soto had a terrific year for the Mets. The Yankees would have been better off with Juan Soto. No, don't tell me they're better off without him. Any team is better off having a Juan Soto than not having a Juan Soto. So he said, stop this talk. Juan Soto wanted to go elsewhere. He has his rights to do it. The 1 year he was with the Yankees went to the World Series. So it helped the Yankees. It was a productive trade at the time.
He's a really good hitter.
That's it. And also they got Grisham in the deal. He's been with the Yankees 2 years. He's had a terrific season this year. So it was a good year for the Yankees, a good deal for the Yankees, a good deal for the Padres, getting players like Michael King from the Yankees in that deal. But let's not put down Juan Soto. Come on, guys. I mean, he had every right to go elsewhere. But with that said, there's a feeling of satisfaction that that Brian Cashman did a great job of damage control. You get Max Fried, led the major leagues in victories. You got Cody Bellinger, who had a wonderful year. Other moves that he made. So, he's a really good GM, Brian Cashman. Keith, even though I'm sure you wanted him to move on, or the Yankees to move on from him.
Well, I'll pass on a comment on that for right this second. Let's get to the National League a little bit. We touched on a little bit. The Padres, listen, umpiring aside, the Cubs were a better team in this series, and the Cubs will go on now to play the Dodgers, who just steamrolled the Reds.
The Phillies play the Dodgers.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. The Dodgers will go on to play the Phillies. I like the Dodgers in this series, and I think the Phillies might be the only team that can take them out of here, at least in the National League. So I like the Dodgers to beat the Phillies, despite the fact that the Phillies may arguably had a better season, and again, probably the biggest threat to the Dodgers.
I like the Dodgers in this series. I've liked them all year long. They didn't have as good a season as I thought they'd have. I thought the Dodgers would be up at around 110 wins. They just didn't have a good season by the standards set for them. But you want to know something? Their players are healthy now. Their bullpen is straightening out. Blake Snell is in form. Their big name players, Ohtani had a great season. Freddie Freeman's going to be his old self showing up. Mookie Betts is rounding back into form.
And
Teoscar Hernandez, who was a free agent who decided to stay with the Dodgers, is showing his worth once again. To me, they're the favorites to win it all. Do the Phillies represent a threat? Absolutely. But I think the Phillies would have represented a little more of a threat if Zach Wheeler wasn't out for the year. Because that would have, for short series, that would have given them a power arm, and one of the better starting pitchers in baseball to throw at the Dodgers, and Zach Wheeler won't be there. So the Phillies are a great threat, but I just feel the Dodgers prevail and go on to win the World Series.
The Phillies still have three really good starters to throw out there, young starters but not the experience maybe that Wheeler would bring. And I think their defense is suspect as well in Philadelphia, especially that outfield defense, which could come into play here as well. The Dodgers are just better, and they get Ohtani to pitch game one and probably get 2 starts of this series.
But the Phillies also have some big name players, and the starting lineup. Big game players, Schwarber, who's a home run machine, Harper, at the top of his game, one of the best players in baseball. Trey Turner, the National League batting champion with only a 304 average, but they have the players. The Phillies, you could argue that they match up well against the Dodgers, but everywhere you look, the Dodgers are deep, and what undid the Dodgers this year, basically, I shouldn't say undid, they won their division. Their bullpen had a patch for a couple of months where they couldn't get anyone out.
You bring up Schwarber. I know you'd love nothing more than, for extra innings to be decided by Carl Schwarber in a home run derby with Ohtani.
No, you can't do that. No. One thing about the playoffs, you can, and they don't have any of this nonsense putting a run on second base. No, during the regular, you had to shorten the extra inning games during the season.
No, you don't.
They go on forever.
What's wrong with a 24-inning game? I mean, it doesn't happen all the time.
They do it in soccer, Keith. After one overtime, they go to penalty kicks. They do it in hockey.
Another reason I hate soccer.
Can't go on indefinitely.
They can. They have. Baseball. The good thing about baseball, it didn't have a clock. It was the only sport without a clock. Right now, you put a clock in the game, by the way, with the pitchers, and now we have to make sure we don't play too many innings because God forbid they should have to play 15 innings.
Games were lasting 4-hour games, 9-inning games.
Well, by the way, there are rules. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but there's rules in the book that can speed the game up without putting a clock out there. That's all I'm telling you. All you got to do is enforce the rules already in play. What was the other series? So the Cubs will play the Brewers. Sorry about that. Interesting matchup here. Two cities very kind of close together, and Chicago's played games in Milwaukee, and their manager is
Craig Counsell. Yeah, he left Milwaukee. He left Milwaukee to go to the Cubs a year ago to sign as their manager. Milwaukee really liked him a lot. Milwaukee wanted Counsell to stay in the worst way because he's been their manager for a lot of years with the Brewers. He did a good job. So he goes to the Cubs. And then Milwaukee had a better record last year. Milwaukee won the division, and they did it again this year. So they're kind of sending a little bit of a message to him. Okay, you left us. We're not skipping a beat without you.
Very interesting.
I mean, Murphy, we're fine.
The Brewers. Brewers manager Pat Murphy might win his second consecutive manager of the year this year. It's possible.
They should wait to the end of the postseason to give out these awards. I think.
Oh, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Anyway, in this series, because I want to get to some other stuff, I like the Cubs actually to upset the Brewers here in this series, and I like a Cubs-Dodgers NLCS.
I like Milwaukee because they always get, I think, law of averages to a degree. They always get eliminated early in these series. I think they're going to finally advance one series, and then they'll lose to the Dodgers in the next series, and and that'll be that. And so we'll see how it plays out.
Well, it's going to be exciting. Those games will start at least. I think there's 2 game ones tomorrow and 2 game ones on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, they play through. Yeah.
Busy weekend in the sports world for sure. Last night in the NFL, we had a surprise. Everybody thought the Rams, and this big survivor pool I'm in, like I don't know, 10%, 25% of the pool went out on the Rams last night. 49ers and Mac Jones. Mac Jones played another good football game last night, and former Patriot cast off who they could use. I love Kendrick Bourne. Game. Kendrick Bourne had a huge game last night, and the 49ers win a tough game on the road. Tough loss for the Rams, too, with Kyren Williams turning the ball over with like a minute left in the game inside the 10-yard line. That's a horrible way to lose a game, and they were looking at, I would say, over. What was the score? 23-20, I think. They were looking at over. Yeah.
I think it's 26-23, but the point.
Whatever, right. It was a 3-point game.
All these injuries, and they get it done, and Mac Jones is getting it done. I kind of wonder, is a quarterback controversy maybe going to go on with the 49ers with Purdy coming back? Because I get the feeling that Kyle Shanahan loves Mac Jones, and he might prefer him to Brock Purdy, but with the money Purdy's getting paid, you can't move on from him. You can't make him second string, especially when Purdy hasn't played poorly. It's not like a situation, Purdy's been struggling, we go with Mac Jones because we have to win. That hasn't been the case.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think they're going to wait for Purdy to be 100% healthy before they put him in there, if they put him back.
Sometimes teams do that. Purdy could say, I'm ready to play. And they could say, no, not till you're 100%. Then they kind of hold them off on the decision. It just, again, I mentioned this in the past show. This doesn't reflect well on Bill Belichick.
No.
Mac Jones's career went down the toilet under Bill Belichick after having a good rookie year. And they messed him up. I thought Mac Jones was through. He was the worst quarterback in football after his rookie year, you could argue. He was horrendous.
Because they destroyed
how good he is.
When Josh McDaniel left again, he had a real offensive coordinator in his rookie year, and he played really well, especially as the year went on. They replaced Josh McDaniel with 2 guys who don't, 2 good football coaches, well, at least one good football coach in Matt Patricia on the defensive side of the football, not the offensive side. Bill Belichick said, if you can coach, you can coach. Well, no, that's not true. He goes to a Jacksonville team that was a mess. Now he gets with a team that, again, knows the quarterback position. Kyle Shanahan knows how we talk about Kevin O'Connell a lot, as we should. But Kyle Shanahan's a bit of a quarterback whisperer, too. He's been very good. Yeah. And guys we didn't expect to be very good quarterbacks through the years. So Mac Jones is in a really good situation, even with limited weapons around him. I mean, McCaffrey's been playing okay. I didn't expect Kendrick Bourne to come up with, 10 catches for 140 yards last night. That's a tremendous game out of Bourne, and I love his talent. I can't believe the Patriots cut him. But interesting game. Can't turn the ball over. Rick talked about special teams. A block kick again yesterday has a big impact on this game. So 49ers are 4-1. Shockingly, I didn't think this team would be that good, especially with these injuries.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought they'd be about 7-10. I thought their window had closed, but they're getting it done. But let's see, the season has a while to go. Let's see whether they maintain it. With Mac Jones, too, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and obviously he's going to want to start somewhere. And assuming Purdy is healthy, he's not going to be the 49ers starter. Because when you give a guy a huge contract, a monster contract, he plays, case closed, unless he's really bad. And Brock Purdy's not going to be bad. The question is whether they'll prefer Mac Jones to him. And even if they do, they're not going to go with Mac Jones because of the amount of money Purdy's getting paid.
Right.
But I don't think Mac Jones is going to get to play the rest of the year, assuming Purdy comes back. He might play on and off. So it's not the same situation as Sam Darnold, who was the Viking quarterback all year. And then at the end of the year, he can go elsewhere. I don't see Mac Jones getting a starting quarterback position elsewhere. Someone signing him to make him their starter. I don't think he's going to have quite the body of work next year. So he's going to kind of be in limbo a little bit.
If it happens, I think it's going to happen right where he is in San Francisco. Purdy will get a chance to win his job back, and if he loses it,
it's Purdy's job. It's not to win it back. It's Purdy's job.
He said he'll get it if he could lose the job, though. It's your job to lose. You don't just get given a job. Look at the Patriots benched the highest paid quarterback in the game, highest paid player in the game when Tom Brady did so well. So let's not forget, it can happen. There is a precedent.
That was a gutsy move by Belichick. He was able to tell quarterback talent then, with going with Brady over Bledsoe. So kudos to Belichick on that move.
Right. So my point is, Purdy will get a chance to come back and keep his job. But he could lose it. The money's not going to matter if he doesn't play better than Mac Jones.
Well, let's put it this way, Keith. Purdy can come back, reclaim the job. The Niners could get in the playoffs. But if they feel Mac Jones gives them a little better chance to win for the playoffs, I see Shanahan going with Mac Jones, perhaps. I could see that move because you can't let the feelings get in the way. But with that said, if I got to look at things totally objectively, you give me a choice. Let's say for the Jets, for example, I need one of them to be my quarterback. I have my choice. They get the same money, Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. I'm going to take Brock Purdy. This is just me.
What's the most interesting? It's not a great card this week with the buys starting. It's not a great card. What's the most interesting thing this week? Stephon Diggs going back to Buffalo and the Patriots trying to show they belong, or the Texans and the Ravens playing surprisingly matching up this weekend at 1-3, and both of their seasons are on the brink here. I don't
care. I'm tired of we're going to have to do our college picks in a moment.
I just want to get to this.
I'm tired of the Stephon Diggs story. It's no drama to me. It's more drama to see what the Patriots can do as a team. They're going into Buffalo. I'm going to get my answer Sunday, Keith. I think I'm going to get my answer. Either the Patriots are the team I thought they'd be this year. The Bills beat them a room to spare. And I'll say, don't get too excited. They're a year away. Or the Patriots go into Buffalo. They beat the Bills, and then I'm going to acknowledge, wow, they're better than I thought they were.
100%.
I mean, this could be their year to go to the playoffs, absolutely, if they could go into Buffalo and win there. The Texans and the Ravens, the problem is the Ravens have a bye in a couple of weeks. They're 1-3. They have a tough matchup next week as well. I forgot who I saw on the schedule. But if they lose to Houston and lose next week and they go 1-5 into the ball, wow, and they got Cooper Rush quarterbacking. With that said, I think the Ravens could even go to 1-4 and still make the playoffs because I think they're talented enough to go on a run. They just got to get it together. And with Lamar Jackson out Sunday, that's a bad blow.
I think if they get to the bye 2-4, they still got a shot. If they're 1-5, I think they're toast. That division's going to help them because the Pittsburgh's playing okay. They're winning games anyway. Yeah. But I don't think that division might keep them alive. Going to college, and we'll do our picks in just a second. Couple big games this weekend. Vanderbilt goes to Alabama. There's 11.5-point underdog after beating Alabama in Nashville last year. This coach, Charlie Lee, and the quarterback, Pavea, I believe is how you say his name. This kid is going to creep his way into the Heisman talk. I'm telling you right now, he's a little kid, a little in stature. He's big as a football player. Threw 6 touchdowns last week, and he's going to get his name into this Heisman race before it's over. This is an interesting game. Alabama beats Georgia last week, but this isn't your vintage Georgia team or your vintage Alabama team. I think Vanderbilt's a better football team. They're better at the quarterback position, which where it really matters. I think Vanderbilt goes in here and pulls the upset, which might tip you off on my underdog pick today.
Yeah, people still don't believe that Vanderbilt beat Alabama last year. They're acting like it's a once-in-a-generation type thing. Alabama's going to be ready. They're going to restore order. And maybe Alabama will be a little more up for the game because of what happened a year ago. Obviously, there are a lot of players still there. But, is Alabama truly a national power? That's the question. And we'll get more of an answer, this weekend.
The quarterback situation, Ty Simpson played well in the first half last week, didn't play well at all in the second half. He's a fifth-year senior. I've said this a couple times now. A fifth-year senior getting his first chance to play. If he was really good, he'd either played by now at Alabama or be playing somewhere else. So that's something to keep an eye on. And Miami goes to Florida State. Interesting game there. And also Arch Manning, who comes off a big game in his last game, against inferior competition. They get Florida this week at Florida. Florida's been spiraling. This is a big game for Arch Manning, I think, to play well against a Power 4 competition in a conference game this week. And I think he will. I will say I think Arch Manning will play good this week.
Well, we hold him to a different standard. If Texas wins by 14 points, people aren't going to be looking so much on Texas winning the game. We're going to hear, well, they were expected to win. Well, Arch didn't look that good. It's hard for Arch Manning to play to the game. It's like his individual performance has to shine.
Well, they need him, actually, I think, to actually win a national championship. They're going to need Arch Manning to play well.
Yeah, he's got to shine, for that.
It's time to take the reins off him and let him just go. And I think
right now, Texas isn't one of the top 10 teams in the nation right at this moment. I'm not talking about where they're ranked.
I'm
talking about how good they are at this moment. They got things to work on, but they have a good defense, a very good defense.
Things do change quickly, though, in college football. Yeah. Just to recap our picks from last week, they were not good. Jack and I both hit on Notre Dame. I lost on Georgia Tech, and Syracuse is my was my underdog pick, and they got actually blown out by Duke. Jack had LSU and BYU, and LSU lost outright, and BYU did not cover. So this week, Jack, who's your favorite? Two favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to take the teams. I'm going to take BYU, giving 18.5 points to West Virginia. Who the heck's West Virginia? I mean,
don't tell Roy that. But
BYU should win that game big. I'm giving a lot of points here. I'm going to take Georgia, giving 20.5 points to Kentucky. Georgia's at home. Them losing to Alabama. They're gonna, Georgia, I think, comes back with a vengeance. This will be the best of Georgia. And this is an interesting one. I know they're 0-4, and I know James Franklin beats up on inferior teams. The Penn State, they beat up on inferior teams. But 24.5 points, UCLA at home. I'll take UCLA with the 24.5 points. UCLA, I mean, they just got to be semi-competitive to cover.
They haven't been semi-competitive all year.
They've been awful all year long. I get the feeling at home again, they'll manage to get inside that margin.
That's a gutsy pick, but I like it.
24.5 points isn't a gutsy pick. That's 3.5 touchdowns. I mean,
it's a gutsy pick as bad as UCLA has played this year. Anyway.
Yeah, well, they've been bad.
By the way, your overall record is now set. Our records are awful. 7-9 for Jack, 6-9 for me. I'm going with my favorites. I'll take the Hurricanes going to Tallahassee and playing Florida State. I think Florida State is not as good as what we saw against Alabama. The defense was awful last week against Virginia. The quarterback, Castellanos, I think there's a reason he gets benched at Boston College. I think the bubble is starting to burst a little bit, and Miami's playing really good. And they survived a mediocre game from Carson Beck last week or 2 weeks ago and dominated Florida. I'll take Vegas and Dan Mullen on the road tomorrow, and I forgot now who the hell are playing. Who are they playing? Come on, where are you? I guess it doesn't matter right now. Out of the for the sake of time, I'll just leave it. I'll take Nevada, Las Vegas. They're on the road tomorrow, and I'll lay the 3.5. And as I've already tipped my underdog, and I think I might get 2 points out of this because I think they might win the game. I like Vanderbilt going into Tuscaloosa and beating the Crimson Tide of Alabama, getting 11.5 points as for all the reasons I described a little bit ago. So I think it's going to be a fun weekend in college football. Go Hurricanes! We want to see the Hurricanes win. My stepson, who did his undergrad at Miami, will be here this weekend to see his new niece, and we'll watch the game together and hopefully get a win.
Now, Carson Beck should be thankful about Arch Manning because all the focus every week is on Arch Manning. And if it wasn't for Arch Manning, it would be on Carson Beck. He would be the lightning rod.
Carson Beck has lit it up until last game. He has played very well. So anyway, we'll look forward to all that, and we'll report back on it Monday. Next, got the debate show tomorrow. Did you pull any questions?
No. We'll work on the questions later.
And
things come up at the last moment.
And I'll see you Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness at 9:00, and I'll be on the Big Football Show from 8 to 9 before that with Jack and Brian and James. And we'll see you guys later. Have a great sports weekend. What a great time of year. I love it. See you guys.